Hello there, welcome to Parenting Hacks with Dr. Yanina, and you are watching episode number 21. Hey there, welcome back. I'm always so grateful to have you on each of my episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as you know, in this show, I share one or two hacks to help you be the best mom you can be, to help you get closer and have stronger relationships and have better communication with your preteen and teen. So this week's topic is actually a series of 3 videos in which I'm going to be sharing with you the dangers of comparing your children. There are some dangers when it comes to comparing our children, and I really want to go over them, which is why I'm going to dedicate today's episode and the next 2 episodes, which are episode 22 and 23, and just talk about the dangers of comparing siblings. And the thing is that you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, she's talking to me because I do this and I feel so bad about it. Know that you're not the only one feeling that way, because most of us, we moms, and I will venture to say even all of us, we tend to compare our children. So, we do this unintentionally. We do this in a way that we don't mean any harm. We do this oftentimes when we're having conversations with other people. Like, for example, we tend to compare our children from the moment the second one is born. And we do this, like I said, in conversations. We bring it up in conversations. We just are so excited about talking about our children that we don't even realize that we're comparing them. I'm going to give you a quick example of something that I would do. And now I'm more mindful about it and I am more careful about it. But this is something we do. And we do it because we're excited about talking about our children. Like, for example, when I talk about my pregnancies, I usually say that my pregnancy with my first child was way more complicated and difficult than my pregnancy with my second child. With my first child, I had like a severe, I had surgery, I had gestational diabetes, I had high blood pressure. I mean, it was a complicated pregnancy. The second one, I had some complications, but nothing compared to my first one. So there you have it. If you listen to what I said, I compare one child with the other. And another thing that we do is, like, for example, when we talk about them, we said, yeah, my oldest child, or second or third, depending on how many, but in my case, I have 2. So my oldest child learned how to talk and walk faster and sooner than my second child. Once again, I'm comparing my children. Am I doing that to hurt them or harm them? Of course not. I'm excited about it. But we as mom have that tendency to do that. Maybe you're like, oh yeah, my firstborn is more school oriented versus my second one is so distracted. And the comparisons can go on and on and on. And we do it, as I said, because we're talking about our kids and we get excited about it. But it gets complicated and dangerous when we tell our children. When we say it in front of our children, or when we even directly tell them about it. And I'm going to give you an example. Like, we can say, we're frustrated with, maybe you're frustrated with one of your kids, and because your child is you're constantly reminding them about doing homework, but then you have another child that you don't have to remind them about homework, and there you are, it's the end of the day, you just want to be done with dinner and be done with everything, and there you say it. Why do I have to remind you about homework every day, Carol? I never have to remind your brother about it. Why do I have to remind you every day? See, it just happens. Another situation might be, maybe you have a messy one and then you have a neat one and you're like, why can you keep your room neat like your sister, right? We do this with the intention to perhaps motivate them, get them do what they're supposed to do. But if you think about it, the more we compare our children, the more they hear it and the more they just take it in. And there are consequences. When we are comparing our children over and over and over again, there are tons of consequences. But for the sake of this episode, I'm going to be going over 2 consequences that are the one that I would say quite common. The first one is, of course, low self-esteem. We are constantly telling them that one is better than the other, directly or indirectly. So honestly, when you hear that someone else is better than you over and over and over again, hey, at the end of the day, your self-esteem is going to be affected. So we have to be very careful about comparing children, or we need to stop comparing our children, because what we're doing is we are really hurting their self-esteem. And another one is sibling rivalry. What we're doing is like we are instilling competition among our siblings, and actually worse, resentment. Because, think about it this way. When someone is comparing you to someone else over and over again, where there is, maybe at work, maybe your manager is constantly comparing you with another person in a negative way, why you're not as good as so-and-so, at the end of the day, you're not going to be like, oh, I love so-and-so so much because she's better than me. No, you're probably going to feel some type of resentment. The same concept, the same idea goes with your children. When one is compared with the other over and over again, it just happens. It's human nature. The child that is being compared to is going to feel resentment, of course. So we have to be very, very careful about. So when we are comparing our children, we're really not motivating them. We're not encouraging them to improve. The message that we're sending is, you are not good enough. I'm going to give you a few seconds to let that sink in. Think about it. We are telling our child that she or he is not good enough. And that is the greatest danger when you compare your children. That you're sending that message directly or indirectly. And I would say, if you're watching this episode, I venture to say that you do not mean to send that message. I venture to say that you're like, that's the last thing I want to tell my child, that she or he is not good enough. But mom, if you're constantly comparing her or him with her or his brother or sister or sibling, you're telling her or you're telling him that they're not good enough. So this week's hack is, stop comparing your children. Stop it. Stop comparing your children. And it might be a habit, and habits are usually hard to break. So I want you to work intentionally on this, on never ever compare your children again. It's hard to stop if this is a habit of yours, but it can be done. You just have to be mindful, catch yourself, and apologize. If you do it, if you actually compare your children, it's okay to apologize. And just be mindful about it. So what I'm going to do is, in the next 2 episodes, I'm going to go deeper on these 2 consequences, which is the low self-esteem and the sibling rivalry. And I'm going to be sharing with you one practical tip or strategy to help you improve on each of these 2 different consequences. Awesome. So make sure that you do not miss my next 2 episodes. So before I let you go, I'm going to ask you for one quick favor, which is subscribing to my YouTube channel. I will really, really, really appreciate it. And after you subscribe to my YouTube channel, so you don't miss out on any of my episodes, especially those 2 that are coming up after this one, I would like for you to share this video with other moms. Share the love, just share this episode in your social media, whatever social media platform you use, and I will truly, truly appreciate it. It will mean a lot to me. Until my next episode, have a wonderful week. Bye.